Hi, it's Lori from Coast to Coast Craft Girls, coming to you from the West Coast. I'm still working on my Christmas cards, and this one that I made I really like. It's a tri-fold arched card with a sort of surprise on the inside. So it looks like this on the outside, and then you open it up. There's one fold, and it opens up, and then it pops down, and you get this beautiful scene like that. So it pops out. When it's standing up, it looks like that, which I just love. So it's actually not that hard to make. So let me show you how it's made. Okay, so I'm going to start with the base of my card, and I've got 3 arched pieces of cardstock. This is an arched nesting die that I have that's 4 1/4 by about 5 1/2. So about 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and it's just arched. If you don't have an arched nesting die, you can do this by just taking, a piece of cardstock that's 4 1/4, and if you have a circle that's basically 4 1/4 across, you just put it up there, draw a circle, or draw a line and cut it off. But the arched nesting dies are nice. And then I'm going to create my trifold, so this is going to go, together like that. So I cut 2 strips of card that are 1 inch long or 1 inch wide by 3 and about 3/8 inch high, because I wanted them shorter. They're going to go on here, and I wanted them just to the point before it starts to arch in, and then I just scored them in half. And you want to really, kind of work these both directions so that they move freely. Okay? Because this is going to make your card open and close. So I'm just going to bend them back and forth. And these are going to glue onto here and then glue onto there on each side. So let me show you. We're going to connect these 2 pieces of card just like that. Okay? So I'm going to put it on the back piece first. And I want this on there, the bottom and at the edge. And then I want this to be exactly on top of the other piece. And it doesn't really matter which side up you put it, because I'm going to mat it anyway. But I want it to land directly on top of that one. See, like that. Okay? Just like that. So that gives me half, or part of my card. Now I'm going to do the other one on the other half. And I want this one to land on that same, on top. Okay? So we're going to do the same thing. And make sure the other one will close on top. Okay? So we got them all lined up. And you press down. And I'm going to cover those up anyway, so I don't care that that's there. And that creates your trifold arched top. Now for the center piece, I've got this strip, which is 3 1/4 by 4 so 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and it's scored at 1 inch. And I'm going to put that right here in the middle, because that's going to give me my drop down section in the middle. And I might need to trim it off before you glue it in. Make sure, yeah, see, it's a little bit too long because of these pieces. So I'm just going to slice a little 1/8 of an inch off. Now it should fit right in there. Yep. Okay, and that's what you want. So let's glue this in. because when you open that center section, you want this to come down, because I'm going to put my Christmas tree on there. And again, I don't care that that paper's going to show on the inside, because I'm going to cover it up. But I want it right at the bottom of that card. And then I want to make sure that my sides fold in on top of each other. And there's essentially your card. Now it's all about decorating. I'm going to start with mats and layers. And I cut some mats and layers from, I think this is from the Crafter's Companion Holly and Ivy. And I have to admit, this one in the back, I didn't want to cut into another 12 by 12 piece. So I just cut it in half or in pieces, because the Christmas tree is going to go in front of it anyway. So it's really, you're not going to notice. And again, you might have to, since I cut this with the same die, you might have to slice the edges off just a little bit to make that work. But on this one, I can just overlap it a little bit in the middle. But I think I'm just going to slice those edges just a little bit. So I've got a tree that I cut, embossed, and colored. And this tree is from Honeybee Stamps, and it's a die, and an embossing folder, and some stencils. So I cut it out of a shimmer white cardstock. It's this color white. And then I used the stencils to ink it in green. And then I embossed it with the embossing folder. And then I added glitter glue in red and in clear, just to give it some sparkle. I'm going to mount my tree basically flush on the back there. Okay? And then I'm going to use little pop-outs to put presents and things around my tree. Okay, so I've got a bunch of presents that are going to go on my pop-up. And to create a little pop-up mechanism, you basically just need like a little square card, and you can make it whatever size you want. And you're just going to glue it two sides, one to the back and one to the bottom. And then it'll fold up, and then it'll fold down when it pops up. Okay. So mine are, and you can make them any width you want. These are about 3/4 of an inch. And it's 6.5 inches long, and it's scored at 1.5 inches, 2.5, 4, and 5. Okay. And then you just glue them together. And you're going to put glue on two sides. And then the easiest way to do this is, I got glue on this short side and that long side. And I'm going to put it right there. Put it into the I was going to say the seam, the crease or the fold. And then glue it down. Now you'll notice that one of them I put the long side on the bottom and the short side on the back, and the other one I put the long side on the back and the short side on the bottom, and that'll give me two different sides. So this one sticks out just 1 inch, that one sticks out 1.5 inches. Okay. Now, I've got a bunch of presents that I cut that I'm going to put onto here. Okay. So we're just going to kind of stack up our presents. Those go completely flat, like that. So I'm just going to leave that to dry, and I'm going to work on decorating. So on my second layer, I've got a really fun sleigh with some more of those presents. And this is a Spellbinders die, and that presents are actually from the Spellbinders die as well. Okay. Now we're going to work on the front. So the very front of my card, I've got some poinsettias that I cut out of red and white. And I'm going to give these a little bit of shape. So there's one, and then I've got some leaves. Now my poinsettias and foliage came from Crafter's Companion. The Christmas rose are the poinsettias, and the vintage Christmas festive foliage are the holly. And we're all done. So let's fold our card up. Just like that. It is pretty thick. There's a lot of thickness to it. And then we open, and you can put a sentiment here or a signing block or whatever, and you've got that pretty sleigh, and then you open and it folds down, and you've got that beautiful Christmas tree scene right in the middle. So when it's standing open, it looks like that, which I think is just gorgeous. So now I may put something on top of these, the white here, just so that when you're looking at it from the top, yeah, I think I'm going to put another little package kind of up there. There we go. Now it still folds flat, but it looks a little bit, from the top, it looks a little bit more like there's piles of presents, and I love that. So really pretty. Now you could add sentiments or further decoration on the inside here, but I think that paper is just gorgeous, so I'm going to leave it. So thanks for watching.